Hello, I'm Evan Brand, certified functional medicine practitioner and nutritional therapist, coming to you from my new office. Hello, thanks for joining me. Let's talk about the ketogenic diet. So many people talk about keto. I'm sure along with hearing about keto, you hear about intermittent fasting. Everybody promotes it as a miracle cure. And I've had hundreds of clients who've come to me and they said, Evan, I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm doing a ketogenic diet. It's not working. I feel like crap. I'm tired. I'm gaining weight, or my weight's not changing, which everybody goes to that diet as a method of weight loss. And there's a few reasons why. The argument is that our ancestors followed a ketogenic diet and that we primarily ate meats and maybe some vegetables, but that abundant starches were not available, and especially all the grains that we eat in modern society, like rice and corn and the modern foods of agriculture, beans. We didn't eat these things 20, 50, 100,000 years ago. So the argument is meats and vegetables, you follow that diet, you're going to be in good shape. But that's not true. We don't live in a world where there are no toxins. We don't live in a world where the stressors are only a bear chasing us, and then after that chase or after that fight with the bear, the stress is over. We live in a world where we have 24/7 stress. We live in a world where we have 24/7 light, which is one of the major causes of disease, the light bulb, due to the blue light that's emitted, especially at nighttime, that impairs with the circadian rhythm. So if you have light exposure at nighttime, that elevates your cortisol, which drops melatonin, that increases risk for cancer, and that throws off the whole hormonal cycle, which is why if you work night shift, you eat a ketogenic diet, I wouldn't be surprised if you feel like crap and you're not losing weight. So let's go into some of the functional lab testing elements that I look at when I'm working with clients. Whether they're doing a ketogenic diet or not doesn't really matter, but there are some specific things that I do notice for people that do follow a ketogenic diet and it's not working. So let's talk about them. Number one is going to be elevated steatocrit. Now steatocrit, this is a fecal fat marker. This is very simple. What this means is fat in the stool. So it could be greasy, could be shiny, could be messy, and it could float. And if your stools are doing that, likely on your stool test that we're going to run on you, you're going to find that the steatocrit number is elevated. We want to see it preferably 5% or less would be great. And I'm seeing people all the way up to 35%, meaning they've got a massive amount of fat in their stool, meaning they're just not digesting it. So the people that are pounding the bulletproof coffee, the MCT oil, the extra coconut oil stuff, it's not doing much. And it's not helping them because we can see the number. We know they're not digesting it. So number two is going to be infections. Specifically, H. pylori is going to be a big one we have to look out for, and then parasites too. I'll just make a note about parasites. You've probably seen my parasite video. If you haven't already, I'll make sure to link it up here. But parasites can be huge. I had them. I had H. pylori as well. And H. pylori, what it does is it damages the parietal cells of the gut. And the parietal cells make or secrete stomach acid. If you don't have enough acid, the whole digestive domino effect that's supposed to happen doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Meaning, if you have H. pylori, you're going to have reduced stomach acid. Or, you know what I should have put on here is PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. So whether this is your Zantac, your Prilosec, or a prescription acid blocking drug, that can also lead to the same condition that an H. pylori case would do, which is low acid. Therefore, your body doesn't get the message it's time to digest food. So now the gallbladder, which is storing bile, it's not going to release the bile. Therefore, you're not going to digest your fats and your steatocrit goes up. So you're like, okay, I'm doing keto, not working. These are some of the underlying mechanisms. Let's keep moving on here. Elevated calprotectin. Come on, marker. All right, so calprotectin, this is a marker for inflammation, specifically in the intestines. Now, when we see this elevated, this doesn't mean your whole body's inflamed. This means your intestines are inflamed. Now, some of the highest cases I've seen, celiac, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, any type of irritable bowel disease, we're going to see calprotectin through the roof, like into the hundreds. Obviously, we would love to see that at what? We'd love to see it at 0. We don't want any inflammation in your intestines if possible, but with a ketogenic plan, most of the time I'm seeing the inflammation go up. Now, some of the vegetarians and vegans watching are going to be like, oh, look what he just said. That means vegetarianism and veganism is right. Not necessarily. Now, I have had many people who are eating a ketogenic diet plan, they're eating garbage meat. So it's like, oh, look at my amount of fat, look at my amount of protein. This looks great, but they're eating garbage meat. So if you're not doing organic pastured meats, you're probably better off not doing meats at all. If you're going to focus on meats, quality is the key. You don't want antibiotics, you don't want hormones, you don't want pesticides and herbicides. Those are all damaging beneficial gut bacteria, and then this whole cycle falls apart. Let's keep moving on here. Number 4 is low secretory IgA. This basically means leaky gut. So secretory IgA is like the first line of defense. Think of secretory IgA as mainly think of it like a bulletproof vest that protects you. This is the mucosal barrier inside of the stomach lining, the intestinal wall. We call it SIGA for short, and SIGA protects you from the environment. Things like H. pylori, things like parasites, and due to stress, due to cortisol, due to NSAIDs, like your aspirin, your ibuprofen, any of your pain medications, those lower IgA. Even these infections can do it. So sometimes it's like a chicken or the egg. We see the IgA's low, we're like, okay, was it an infection? Was it antibiotics? Was it stress? Was it the aspirin overuse because they had back pain? What was it that led to this? But if you have a leaky gut situation, that's like your gut should be like this. Now it's like this. Now undigested food particles are getting into the bloodstream. Guess what that's doing? That's going to be cranking up calprotectin, so now you've got more inflammation. Now you're not digesting fat, so the steatocrit goes up, and then you're like, oh, why the hell doesn't ketogenic diet work? Well, there's your answer. And then number 5, so medications, I talked about that already. That could be anything. That could be birth control pills that can affect things in the gut microbiome. This could be pain medications, opiates, of course, recreational drugs. Cocaine, anything else that's going to be stimulating the nervous system, overhyping your adrenal glands. That ties right into hormones. Circadian rhythm, we talked about the night shift. And then down here right behind me, which you might not be able to see, is gallbladder and liver issues. So if you've had a gallbladder removed and you're trying to go on a high-fat diet, it's probably not going to work very well. Maybe if you're taking large amounts of digestive enzymes and supplemental bile, you may be able to do it. But most people without a gallbladder, their steatocrit's really high because the gallbladder's gone. So it's not storing the bile and secreting it into the system like it used to digest and metabolize your fats. So can you get away with it without a gallbladder? Maybe. You just have to be, you got to be working with a practitioner who's going to help you dial this thing in. I don't think this is something you could piece together on your own for those few of you watching that don't have a gallbladder. If you do have a gallbladder, great. Make sure you don't have any gallstones. You could get a HIDA scan, H-I-D-A scan, and look. You could get an ultrasound if you've had any pain in this low right area there. The liver and the gallbladder are tucked right up under this rib cage here. So if you have pain in this area, that could be an indication of parasites. It could be elevated liver enzymes, some type of inflammation in the gallbladder or the bile ducts. So you've got to rule all that stuff in and rule it out. I hope this was helpful. If you'd like to reach out, you can get help. I work with people around the world. You can just click on screen to learn more. Take care. Bye-bye.